7 September 1940, 1842 hours. Chain Home Station, Bawdsey, Suffolk. The wind comes in off the North Sea with teeth. It rattles the guy wires and makes the steel towers groan like ships at anchor. Below them, the grass is slick and darkening fast, the smell of ozone and hot oil hanging in the air. Somewhere inside the operations hut, a valve pops, then another. The cathode ray tube goes pale, flickers once and dies. For a heartbeat, no one speaks. Outside, the last light drains from the horizon. The sea turns to ink, and above that black line, nothing. No warning blips, no ghostly returns, just a dead screen and the low hum of generators suddenly too loud in the silence. You can almost feel it when the sky goes blind. Flight Sergeant Tom Hargreaves grips the edge of the console, knuckles whitening. He's been on shift since noon, swapping fuses, nursing tired equipment through another day of war. Chain Home was never meant to run like this. Day after day, night after night, strained past its limits. It's a miracle it's worked at all. Now, hours before darkness fully settles, it has chosen this moment to fail. Check the feed, someone says. Too calm, forced calm. A corporal is already moving, boots thudding down the narrow corridor, past racks of humming gear and coils of cable that smell faintly of rubber and dust. The radar towers loom outside, 4 skeletal giants against the fatting sky, each one a target that the Luftwaffe pilots know by heart. They've been bombed before, repaired before, always just enough, never comfortably. Hargreaves glances at the wall clock. Each second ticks like a hammer blow. Across the channel, engines are warming, orders are being read, crews are strapping in under red lamps, pulling on gloves still stiff with yesterday's sweat. Tonight is planned to be heavy, a night raid, bombers in waves slipping across the coast under cover of darkness, guided by radio beams and dead reckoning. London, the Midlands, rail yards, power stations. And here on this lonely spit of coast, the early warning net has just torn open. The screen stays dark. Voltage is dropping across the array, the corporal calls back, voice edged now. We've lost consistency on the transmit pulse. That's the polite way to say the heart of the system is faltering. Chain Home is a beast of wires and towers and fragile glass valves, never designed for subtlety. It shouts into the sky and listens for echoes. If the shout falters, even slightly, the echoes vanish into nothing. Hargreaves feels the weight of it settle in his chest. Without this station, the sector controllers inland will be flying blind too. Fighters won't be scrambled in time. Searchlights will sweep empty sky. Anti-aircraft guns will wait for sounds instead of signals. Waiting gets people killed. Outside, a truck backfires on the road beyond the dunes. Everyone flinches. Get the spares, Hargreaves snaps, all of them. They lay the components out on a wooden bench, valves wrapped in wax paper, resistors salvaged from older sets, coils wound by hand months ago when factories couldn't keep up. This is not neat work. This is wartime improvisation, born of shortages and necessity. The generator coughs again. Someone swears under their breath. They try the obvious first, swap the valve. No change, adjust the tuning, still nothing. The scope remains stubbornly blank, a black mirror reflecting their own tired faces. Minutes bleed away. At 19:10, the phone rings. One sharp, insistent burst. Hargreaves answers, listens, his jaw tightens. Sector Control says other stations are reporting intermittent returns, he says to the room. They think Jerry's forming up. No one asks how long they have. The answer is written in the darkening sky outside. Rain begins to fall, fine at first, then heavier, drumming against the tin roof, hissing on warm metal. Moisture is poison to electronics like these. Every drop feels like a countdown. A young technician, barely 20, leans over the schematic pinned to the wall, tracing lines with a grease-stained finger. If the main feed's unstable, he says hesitantly, we could bypass the regulator, run it direct. It'll be rough, but... It'll burn the array, someone cuts in. Eventually, the lad says, but maybe not tonight. The room goes quiet again. This is the kind of choice no manual prepares you for. Save the equipment or save the warning. Hargreaves looks at the towers through the rain-streaked window. Tall, vulnerable, already scarred by shrapnel from earlier raids. He imagines bombers slipping past unseen, their crews calm and methodical while cities sleep below. Do it, he says. They move fast now. Wires are rerouted. Insulation is stripped with a knife because there's no time to find proper tools. The generator note deepens as the load changes, a strained animal sound. At 1927, the screen flickers. Once, twice. Then a thin green line sweeps across the glass. A breath is released that no one remembers holding. A faint bloom appears at the edge of the scope. Then another, weak, ghost-like, but there. Returns. Hargreaves leans closer, heart pounding. Mark it, he says. Tell Control we've got something. The phone is already ringing again. Outside, far out over the Black Sea, engines are turning toward England. And now, just barely, England is listening again. But the improvised fix is unstable. The towers are running hot, and no one in that hut knows how long this borrowed time will last before everything goes dark for good. The green line shudders as it sweeps the glass. Not smoothly, not cleanly. It jitters, wobbles, then steadies just long enough to matter. Each pass is a small victory and a warning. The bypassed regulator is forcing power straight into the array, raw and uneven. The equipment is screaming under the strain, even if only the technicians can hear it. At 1931, the first solid returns sharpened. Range 90 miles, the plotter calls out, pencil already moving across the board. Bearing east-southeast. That's not a patrol, that's a formation. The phone crackles as sector control comes alive on the other end. Voices overlap. Questions are fired off and answered in clipped bursts. The map room inland, somewhere safe and well-lit compared to this wind-beaten hut, begins to fill with grease pencil arcs and arrows. For the first time that evening, the system is breathing again. Hargreaves watches the scope, eyes burning. Every sweep reveals more shapes, growing brighter, coalescing into a thickening smear. Bombers flying tight, disciplined. You can almost see them. Black shapes against blacker sky, crews steady at their posts, unaware that a half-broken British radar station is clawing their presence out of the darkness. Counts climbing, the plotter says. This is big. Outside, rain lashes the towers sideways now. Water runs down steel legs already warm to the touch. Insulators hiss faintly as moisture fights heat. Somewhere high above, cables hum under load they were never meant to carry. The array is cooking itself alive. At 1938, the first fighters are ordered up. Not in a mass scramble, there aren't enough machines or pilots for that anymore, but in controlled, precise launches. Hurricanes first, then Spitfires, guided not by guesswork but by these fragile green echoes. You can feel the shift in the room. Tension doesn't disappear, it sharpens. Purpose replaces dread. New contact north of the main group, someone calls. Mark it. Done. The bypass holds, barely. A sharp crack snaps through the hut. A smell of hot insulation follows, acrid, unmistakable. One of the junior technicians looks up, eyes wide. Tower 3's heating fast, he says. If this keeps up. I know, Hargreaves says. He doesn't take his eyes off the screen. There is no backup, no second chance tonight. If the array fails again, it won't be minutes before repair. It will be darkness until dawn. The returns keep coming. At 1945, the Luftwaffe splits. One stream peels south, another pushes inland. The radar picture grows messy, overlapping blips smearing together as power fluctuates. The plotters adapt on the fly, estimating speeds, altitudes, intentions. Human judgment fills the gaps where machinery falters. In the distance, you hear it before you see it. The dull, rolling thump of anti-aircraft guns opening up along the coast. Searchlights stab into the sky, pale fingers grasping at cloud. Somewhere out there, a bomber crew flinches as black bursts bloom around them, earlier than expected. Surprise works both ways. Fighters are engaging, sector control reports. There's strain in the voice now, excitement too. They're intercepting farther out than planned. Hargreaves closes his eyes for half a second. That's the whole point of this cursed contraption. Not to win the fight, just to give the men in the air a fighting chance. The generator groans again. A needle on one of the meters creeps into the red. "Sir," the corporal says quietly, "we're pushing past tolerance. Another 20 minutes at this load and we could lose the entire station." 20 minutes. On the scope, the main formation begins to fragment. Some blips wink out, either turning back or falling silent for darker reasons. Others press on, but less coherently now, disrupted, harried. The radar is doing more than warning. It's shaping the battle. At 20:02, Tower 2's insulators begin to glow faintly, a dull orange visible even through rain. Heat shimmer ripples the air around the steel legs. This is the cost of improvisation. "Can we cycle the load?" the young technician asks. "Bleed it off even for a moment." Hargreaves shakes his head. "If we drop now, we may not get it back." Another crack, louder this time. A spark jumps somewhere in the darkness outside, briefly illuminating wet steel. Inside the hut, no one moves, no one breathes. The blips hold. Fighter controllers vector another squadron into the southern stream. The timing is tight, seconds matter now. A delayed warning here means bombs there. Fires, screams, names added to lists that grow longer every week. The radar sweeps again. Still there. At 20:11, Sector Control's voice breaks through with something new in it. Not urgency, relief. Enemy formations turning back. Not all of them, but enough. Hargreaves exhales slowly. The array hasn't failed, not yet. But as he looks at the overloaded meters and the glowing towers, a cold realization settles in. Even if the bombers are driven off tonight, this station may not survive the victory. And if it burns out now, there will be nothing left to guard the skis tomorrow. 27 hours. The rain finally eases, but the towers are still glowing. Not brightly, nothing so dramatic, but enough that you can see it if you know where to look. A dull, unhealthy warmth pulsing through steel that was never meant to run this hard. The chain home array stands upright through sheer stubbornness now, held together by overstressed cables, scorched insulators, and decisions made under impossible pressure. Inside the operations hut, the air is thick and metallic. Sweat runs down backs despite the cold. No one has sat down in over an hour. The radar picture is thinning. Not gone, just changing. The once dense clusters have stretched out, broken apart, or faded entirely. A few contacts still push inland, but their numbers are smaller now. Manageable. Fighters are already on them. Sector says interception success rate is higher than expected, the plotter reports. They weren't ready for this many squadrons so early. Hargreaves nods once. He doesn't smile. Because he knows what this means. The trick worked. The Luftwaffe had planned on darkness and confusion, on Britain's defenses reacting late, scrambling blindly, wasting fuel and time. Instead, they ran headlong into organized resistance guided by a radar system that, by all rights, should have been dead. British commanders will read the reports tomorrow and shake their heads in disbelief. They'll see the timelines, the intercept points, the way formations were disrupted miles earlier than expected. They'll call it a lucky night. They won't smell the burned insulation. They won't hear the generators screaming. They won't see the way the towers trembled under load. Outside, a final series of distant explosions rolls across the coast. Not close, farther out. Bombs dropped early or jettisoned altogether. The ground shivers, then settles. The clock ticks on. At 20:41, one of the meters slams hard against its limit. A sharp alarm cuts through the room. "That's it," the corporal says. "We're at the edge." Hargreaves watches the scope for one more sweep. The returns are sparse now, scattered, retreating, irrelevant. "Stand by," he says. He waits until sector control confirms the last major formation has turned back across the channel, until fighters are being recalled, fuel gauges dipping into the danger zone, until the sky, at last, begins to empty. "Now," he says. They cut the bypass. The effect is immediate and violent. The generator pitch drops. The lights dim. Outside, one of the towers gives a sharp metallic bang as cooling steel contracts. Smoke curls briefly from an overheated junction before the rain finally kills it. The scope goes dark. This time, no one panics. The warning has already done its work. Silence settles in, broken only by rain on the roof and the distant, fatting thunder of guns. Men slump against walls. Someone sits on the floor without realizing it. Hands shake as adrenaline drains away. They've saved the night. At a cost. When inspection teams climb the towers later, they'll find warped fittings, cracked insulators, wiring cooked beyond salvage. The station will be offline for days, maybe longer. Parts will have to be scavenged. New fixes improvised. But those are problems for daylight. For now, word spreads quietly through command channels. The raid was blunted. Losses were lower than feared. Cities still stand that might not have. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, will wake up alive because a handful of technicians refuse to let the sky stay blind. The victory will never make headlines. Pilots will get the credit. Guns will get the praise. Strategy will get the applause. And the chain home station at Bodsey will return to anonymity, its role reduced to footnotes and technical appendices. But on this night, for a few critical hours, it burned itself nearly to death to keep watch, proving that in modern war, sometimes survival hinges not on firepower, but on a flickering green line that refuses to go dark.